Welcome to Tired Mommy Revival. Hey mama, are you running on coffee fumes? Feeling like brain fog, fatigue, and anxiety are running the show? Do you wake up dreading the day ahead, already overwhelmed by the endless to-do list and unsure how you'll make it through? Do you long for the energy to enjoy motherhood and care for yourself, but feel stuck and unsure where to start? Let me remind you of something life-changing. You were created for more energy, more clarity, more joy. Hi, I'm Jerusha, certified holistic wellness coach, wife and mom to 2 wild boys and 1 baby girl in heaven. I know the exhaustion you're feeling because I've been there, barely making it through the day, relying on coffee and chocolate to survive, and wondering why nothing I tried ever made me feel better. Then, God stepped in and revealed a powerful truth. A woman's body is beautifully and uniquely designed to thrive. When we align with how God created us, we can boost our energy, bust through fatigue, and step into the vibrant, joy-filled life He has for us. Mama, I'm living proof that it's possible. These days, I wake up refreshed, nourish my body with intention, and navigate the chaos of motherhood with patience and peace. Most days. And I want to help you do the same. If you're ready to swap exhaustion for energy, brain fog for clarity, and guilt for grace, you're in the right place. Each week, we'll dive into practical strategies, faith-filled truths, and empowering tools to renew your health, body, soul, and spirit. Are you ready for this? Let's do it, mama. Today's episode is all about one of the most controversial topics in modern nutrition, carbs. Yep, those little guys that we've been told are the reason we can't lose weight, can't get pregnant, can't feel energized, or can't fit into our jeans. But what if carbs aren't the villain we've made them out to be? What if the real problem isn't that we're eating carbs, but which ones we're eating and how they are affecting our unique female biology? Let's start here. Are carbs evil? I mean, if you look at diet culture, you'll think they are. Keto, Atkins, paleo, everywhere you turn, someone is preaching the gospel of low carb equals better health. And if you've ever cut carbs and seen some amazing results like weight loss, more energy, or mental clarity, you might be nodding your head right now thinking, yeah, Jerusha, they kind of are evil. And I get it. I've been there. There was a time in my life when I was 100% on the carbs are bad train. And to be honest, at first, I felt great. I lost weight, I had energy, my brain fog lifted. But over time, things started to shift. My periods were very painful. I struggled with cravings, especially during certain times of the month, and I started to ask some bigger questions. If carbs are bad for me, are they bad for my family too? What does healthy cooking actually look like when I'm trying to nourish growing kids, not just fit into my jeans? Those questions open the door for a deeper understanding, and that's what we're digging into today. So let's talk about what carbs actually are, because not all carbs are created equal. Carbohydrates are one of the 3 macronutrients, right alongside protein and fat, and they come in a few forms, including sugars like glucose, fructose, and lactose, starches found in potatoes, grains, and beans, and fiber, which technically counts as a carb, but acts in the body in a totally different way, which we'll talk about in the last episode of the series. Your body breaks carbs down into glucose, which becomes a primary source of energy, especially for your brain, muscles, and thyroid. But glucose isn't just about energy. The right kinds of carbs actually help your body convert thyroid hormones to their active form, T3, produce serotonin, your feel-good, mood-balancing neurotransmitter, stabilize cortisol, your main stress hormone, and stimulate the production of progesterone, especially important in your second half of your cycle. So yes, carbs actually help your hormones when they're the right kind. So where did we go wrong? Honestly, it's not hard to see. Look at the modern food landscape. The standard American diet is full of highly refined carbs, processed sugars, packaged foods with fake ingredients, and artificial everything. These carbs do cause problems. They spike insulin, they stress your liver, they mess with your mood, energy, and hunger cues, and they absolutely contribute to weight gain and inflammation when eaten constantly and without balance. But let's be clear, it's not sweet potatoes that are tanking your health, it's the Pop Tarts. So, what about the carbs God made? Let's take a breath and come back to God's design. Because carbs, real ones, were His idea. He gave us sweet potatoes, lentils, beans, ancient grains, and fresh seasonal fruit. These foods are nourishing, fiber rich, and mineral loaded. They feed your gut, support your metabolism, and keep you satisfied, especially when paired with protein or healthy fats. When we throw pineapple and powdered donuts in the same category, we're not just confused, we're misinformed. Ultimately, when I started learning this, it changed everything for me because cutting carbs worked until it didn't. I started asking deeper questions. Why was I irritable and emotional before my period? Why was I craving chocolate and fruit and all of the off limits things during my luteal phase? And why was I tired even though I was doing everything right? Turns out my body needed carbs, especially during the second half of my cycle when my hormones were shifting and my body was naturally craving more glucose to produce progesterone and calm cortisol. Once I added real whole carbs back in and timed them with my body's rhythm, I felt grounded again, stable and clear. And even more importantly, I felt confident feeding my family food that wasn't about restriction, but about nourishment. Now, let's talk about bread because we can't pass up the fact that bread was mentioned in the Bible. Now, let's talk about bread. Yes, it's in the Bible. Jesus broke bread. It's part of Jewish feasts and celebrations in daily life. But here's what most people don't realize. The bread they ate back then, it was nothing like the bread we eat today. Ancient wheat was what I call unadulterated, meaning it hadn't been bred, modified, or stripped of nutrients. It was closer to the original grain God created on the earth. They also didn't have quick rise yeast. They used natural fermentation, which is more like sourdough. They ground fresh wheat, often sprouted it, baked it daily, and ate it fresh. Today's bread is ultra processed, made with bleached flour, it's full of additives, and it's designed to stay on the shelf for weeks. Honestly, if you showed a loaf of modern bread to someone in ancient Israel, they'd probably say, "What is this futuristic space food?" If you want bread to work for your body, not against it, get as close to the original process as you can. That's why I'm on my own whole wheat sourdough journey right now. It's slower, yes, but it's richer and way more nourishing. And let's be honest, we all need more bread in our life. Also, fun fact, some people tolerate bread and gluten in general better in places like Europe simply because of gut lineage. Let me explain what I mean. They've inherited specific probiotics that help break down gluten. Many of us have lost that over generations of antibiotic use, processed food, and gut disruption. So when you're looking at somebody else who can eat a bunch of pasta or bread and they never feel tired or bloated or just super off and they don't gain weight and you're thinking, what is going on with them? Did they just get the metabolic lottery? Well, yes and no. They didn't get the metabolic lottery, but they may have gotten gut lineage that actually sets them up for success in eating gluten more often because they've been able to keep that in their family line. Again, it's not your fault, but it's something to be aware of. I've even heard of people like Lisa and John Bevere talk about how because they are Italian, they believe in pasta. And I'm like, great, I would love to believe in pasta too, but it doesn't work for me that way. I can't just eat a bunch of pasta and feel great, even if it is non-GMO. But here's what everyone needs to know. If you're a woman in your fertile years trying to balance hormones, raise kids, or recover from stress, you probably need some carbs, but not the ones in the vending machine. You need the ones God designed. Sweet potatoes, root veggies, lentils and beans, whole fruits, and homemade or naturally fermented breads. And the good news is you don't have to eat them all the time. You just need to eat them strategically. Honor your cycle, pay attention to cravings, choose real food. That's how you work with your body, not against it. Here are some practical tips to help you get started today. Choose carbs that come from the earth, real, whole, and colorful. Pair them with protein or fat to keep your blood sugar steady. Eat more carbs before your period or during times of stress, breastfeeding, or heavy activity. And avoid refined carbs on their own because they're the fast track to a crash. And lastly, keep a journal and track how different carbs make you feel. Not everybody will respond to carbs the same way, so learn what works for your body. There was a time when I swore off potatoes absolutely altogether because after integrating them into my diet, I realized that brain fog came over me really bad. And so I actually swore them off and decided I was not going to eat potatoes except on a very rare occasion. But eventually I figured out that I was eating them at the wrong times of the month. When my estrogen needed to be high, potatoes were definitely not going to serve my body and they were going to make me feel foggy and tired. But if I ate them when my progesterone needed to be high, then I actually felt pretty good. And so it's all about learning to work with your body the way that God designed you as a female. And if you're wondering, what in the world are you talking about and how do I eat to balance my hormones? I have good news for you. I actually have a course designed around teaching women exactly how to do this, how to eat, detox, and balance your hormones with natural foods, and to work with your body the way that God designed it, not the way that current culture tells you you need to diet. So if you're interested, find the links down below in the show notes for more information. But here's what I want you to know right now. Carbs are not the enemy. Confusion is. And today, you just took a major step toward clarity and confidence in your health journey. Next week, we're diving into another heavily misunderstood macro, protein. But we're not just talking about how to get more, we're talking about the overhype too. From protein powders to carnivore diets, the wellness world has pushed protein in ways that may actually hurt women more than help. You'll learn how to find balance that supports your body without falling for the marketing schemes. Mama, if this episode helped you feel more at peace with your plate, would you text it to a friend or share it in your stories? Let's spread the food freedom. Until next time, stay nourished, stay grounded, and remember, you were made for wellness. Mama, I hope this episode blessed you and reminded you that you were beautifully and uniquely made to thrive. If today's conversation spoke to your heart, I'd love for you to take a moment to leave a rating and review. Not only does it encourage me, but it helps more tired mamas discover the hope, healing, and energy they've been searching for. You're not in this alone. Make sure to hit subscribe so you never miss an episode. Together, we'll reclaim your energy, renew your health, and revive your spirit, one step at a time. Until next time, remember, you are beautifully designed by God to live with energy, clarity, and joy. You're not just surviving, Mama. You're stepping into the vibrant life you were created for. I'm cheering you on.